The final election results for New York City's Democratic mayoral primary are officially in. New York State Assembly member Zohran Mamdani claimed victory over former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on primary night.
It was a decisive victory. We won with a vision that spoke to every single New Yorker.
He's the first Muslim Indian American to top the NYC mayoral race, and folks hate him. Ripped from Ivy League controversy to fiery debates over Gaza. But Zohran Mamdani just keeps climbing. Who is this polarizing prodigy, and why does he still have a shot at winning? Zohran Mamdani's story begins far from New York City. Born in 1991 in Kampala, Uganda, he spent his early years moving across continents, from South Africa to finally settling in Queens, New York at age 7. This global journey shaped his unique identity. He comes from a family rooted in culture and intellect. His mother is Mira Nair, the Oscar-nominated filmmaker behind movies like Monsoon Wedding. His father, Mahmoud Mamdani, is a respected professor of anthropology at Columbia University. Growing up in Queens, Zohran attended the prestigious Bronx High School of Science. Later, he earned a degree in Africana Studies from Bowdoin College. His academic path reflected a deep interest in justice, identity, and history. After college, Zohran worked as a foreclosure housing counselor in Queens. He helped people facing eviction and financial crisis. This job gave him a close look at the daily struggles of low-income families. It also sparked his interest in activism and public service. Around the same time, Zohran explored music under the name Young Cardamom, later Mr. Cardamom. His music, including a song dedicated to his grandmother, blended art and political awareness. In 2020, Zohran entered politics and won the Democratic primary for New York's 36th Assembly District, representing Astoria. His campaign focused on housing rights, social justice, and healthcare access. He ran with the Democratic Socialists of America, calling for progressive change. Since then, he's been re-elected twice, both times unopposed.
The final election results for New York City's Democratic mayoral primary are officially in. New York State Assembly member Zohran Mamdani claimed victory over former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on primary night.
In a major political upset in 2025, Zohran defeated former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic mayoral primary. He secured about 43% of the ranked choice vote. This win made him the likely next mayor of New York City, and the first Muslim and Indian American to hold the office. It also made headlines across the US and beyond. Zohran Mamdani doesn't just want to lead, he wants to transform. His political vision, dubbed Zohranomics by both critics and supporters, is a bold roadmap for a more affordable New York. As a proud democratic socialist, he champions policies focused on working-class struggles. His platform tackles high rent, income inequality, and access to basic public services. One of his most talked-about proposals is a rent freeze on all rent-stabilized units across the city. For tenants struggling with sky-high rent increases, this could bring real relief. Zohran argues that housing is a human right. He believes the city should not just regulate rent, but also increase the supply of city-owned, affordable housing units. Next, he wants to make public transportation completely free. In a city like New York, where millions rely on subways and buses daily, free transit could save workers hundreds of dollars a month. It also aligns with his goal to cut carbon emissions and reduce traffic. Critics call it unrealistic. But Zohran responds with a question. What's more unrealistic? Giving workers a livable wage or expecting them to survive on $15 in New York City? To fund these programs, Mamdani proposes a progressive tax on corporations and millionaires, along with the launch of municipal bonds. He believes the wealthiest New Yorkers should contribute more to keep the city running. If you can afford a $5 million penthouse, he once said, you can afford to help the city that made it possible. Economists are split. Some view Zohranomics as a pragmatic response to inequality, especially in the post-pandemic era. Others, especially from Wall Street, warn of budget risks and economic strain, but Mamdani is undeterred. "We've tried trickle down," he says. "Now it's time to build from the ground up." Zohran Mamdani has faced several controversies that have drawn strong opinions from both sides. One of the most debated issues is related to how he identified his race on a college application in 2009. On his Columbia University application, Mamdani checked both Asian and Black or African American. Critics accused him of misrepresenting his background to gain an advantage, even though he didn't get accepted. This stirred up a lot of reactions. Mamdani later explained that the form didn't offer enough choices. He said he also wrote Ugandan in a separate section to represent his true identity. He mentioned that he gave the same answers on all his college applications. Despite this, some public officials, including the mayor and former governor, said the move was misleading and possibly unfair to other applicants. They called on Columbia to release his full records. Another major controversy surrounds Mamdani's stance on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He refused to directly condemn the phrase, "globalize the intifada," a slogan often used at pro-Palestinian rallies. Many felt he should have rejected it due to its violent connotation. Jewish leaders expressed concern, saying the phrase reminded them of past terrorist attacks. They urged him to oppose it. Mamdani responded by saying the phrase can have different meanings. He pointed out that even the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum once used the term intifada to describe resistance movements. He added that he is against any incitement to violence and believes in protecting freedom of expression. Supporters say the criticism is unfair and rooted in Islamophobia. Others believe it's a valid concern about rising hate speech. Interestingly, Mamdani still received endorsements from some Jewish leaders and kept support from many Jewish voters. Some critics also question his lack of experience. They say he entered politics with very little time spent in the workforce and has sponsored few bills. Others argue he hasn't held any executive roles, making him untested for larger leadership. His financial background also gets attention. Mamdani lives in rent-stabilized housing, doesn't own a car, and earns a state assembly salary. Opponents say this means he's not ready for the complexities of managing a large city budget. Conservatives, including former President Trump, have strongly attacked Mamdani. They call his policies communist and claim he wants to destroy New York's police system. Some have even warned that a Mamdani win could lead to cuts in federal support. Republican and moderate Democratic voices say his political message is too extreme and not in line with New York's mainstream voters. Zohran Mamdani has become one of the most talked about candidates in recent New York City history. Many believe he's the future, despite fierce criticism. His story reflects a shift in New York's political mood, one that embraces youth, bold ideas, and deep connections to immigrant communities. His appeal started with his clear message on affordability. He tapped into widespread frustration over housing costs, childcare, groceries, and transit. His platform, often described as Zohranomics, promises rent freezes, free buses, city-run grocery stores, universal childcare, and a push toward a $30 minimum wage. Supporters say these ideas are more than slogans. They're solutions rooted in lived experience. Many young professionals and immigrant families feel heard for the first time. Early data shows blitz-like gains in turnout among men and voters under 45, many drawn by these policies. Critics, mostly from the center and the financial sector, argue that Zohranomics is too radical and financially risky. They worry about tax flight and budget overload. To counter this, Mamdani points to new funding from millionaire and corporate taxes and to studies suggesting wealthier residents are already unlikely to leave over tax changes. His team also argues that centrist leaders lost touch by neglecting cost of living issues. Another key reason he's still poised to win is his ability to build a broad coalition. He has gained endorsements from progressive icons like Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and the Working Families Party. He also reached out to Jewish communities. Despite concerns over his pro-Palestinian views, under 45 Jewish voters and progressive groups like Jewish Voice for Peace and JF Arija have rallied behind him, focusing on shared values around fairness and equality. Brad Lander, a Jewish comptroller, even offered reciprocal support on ranked choice ballots. And reformist candidates like Jim Walden. If he wins, it would mark a historic breakthrough, New York's first Muslim, Indian American, and African-born mayor. Yet major challenges await. Delivering Zohranomics would require navigating City Hall, securing state backing for tax reforms, and managing expectations of both progressive and moderate voters. He'll need to show practical governance skills on top of visionary ideas. Mamdani's candidacy has sparked debate nationwide. A win could energize progressive movements across the country, demonstrating that bold economic justice campaigns can thrive in major urban centers. Conversely, a loss or a narrow win might reset the post-2020 progressive playbook. Overall, Mamdani's rise reflects a powerful shift. A city willing to embrace audacious ideas and fresh leadership. No matter how critics respond, he's already rewritten the narrative and may well rewrite the future of New York. Zohran Mamdani's rise isn't just about one man, it's about a movement. A signal that New Yorkers are hungry for leaders who don't just play politics but challenge it. Whether you agree with his ideas or not, one thing is clear: Mamdani has already changed the conversation. And the real question now isn't just who is Zohran Mamdani? It's what kind of future do we want to fight for? If you care about that future, whether you support him or question him, get informed, get involved, and most importantly, vote. This election isn't just about headlines. It's about your city, your home, your voice. Don't just watch history happen, be part of it.